When you're standing in a busy kitchen and the ice bin is half empty, the last thing you want is a machine that sounds great on paper but lets you down when the rush hits. That hesitation, whether you're a CAF owner expanding the menu, a catering service that needs a steady ice supply, or a small bar that wants to keep cocktails flowing, makes every purchase feel like a gamble. I'm going to walk through the real-world experience of the Atosa YR280 AP161 commercial ice maker, point out where it actually delivers, and flag the moments that could turn a good investment into an unnecessary expense. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the most common question I see in forums and review sections is, do I really need a commercial-grade ice maker, or will a countertop model suffice? The answer hinges on three things: how much ice you actually use each day, how much space you can allocate, and how much downtime you can tolerate. The Atosa YR280 AP161 sits squarely in the high-volume, dedicated camp. It's built to churn out up to 283 pounds of ice in a 24-hour period and stores roughly 88 pounds in its built-in bin. In practice, that means you could run a coffee shop that serves 200 drinks a day without watching the bin empty every half hour. It also means you need a dedicated space about the size of a small refrigerator plus a reliable water line and a 110120V power outlet that can handle the load. If you're the type of operator who already knows your ice usage numbers, the math is straightforward. Let's say you sell 150 cold drinks a day, each requiring a single cube. That's 150 cubes, roughly a pound of ice. Even accounting for waste and extra demand during peak hours, you'll be well under the 283-pound ceiling. The machine will run in short cycles, refill the bin, and keep a reserve that you can draw from during a rush. For those who have been using a smaller countertop unit, the upgrade feels like moving from a bike to a car. You get speed and capacity, but you also need parking space. One practical strength that emerges once you install the unit is the consistency of ice size. The Atosa produces clear, cube-shaped ice that melts slower than crushed or nugget ice, which is a subtle but noticeable benefit for coffee and cocktail presentations. In my conversations with a few small-scale bar owners, they noted that their patrons comment on the cleaner look of drinks when the ice doesn't cloud the glass as quickly. That visual factor, while not a headline spec, translates into a perceived upgrade in service quality. However, the same consistency can become a drawback if your menu calls for specific ice types. Some fast food kitchens prefer nugget ice because it's easy to chew and fills drinks quickly. The YR280 AP161 does not offer that texture, so you'd either need a secondary machine or a workaround like crushing the cubes, which adds labor and extra cleaning steps. That hidden trade-off is worth flagging early if your operation depends on varied ice forms. This single-purpose unit may not be enough. Maintenance is another area where the real world diverges from the marketing copy. Commercial ice makers need routine cleaning to prevent scale buildup, especially if you're on hard water. The Atosa's design includes a self-purge cycle, but the cycle only clears the water line. The interior still benefits from a manual cleaning with a sanitizer every month. For a busy kitchen, that's an extra task to slot into the cleaning schedule. Skipping it can lead to cloudy ice, reduced output, and eventually a service call that can cost more than the initial purchase price. Speaking of cost, the price point of the YR280 AP161 sits in the mid-range for commercial models with this output. The value proposition really comes from the balance between capacity and the size of the storage bin. A machine that can make 283 pounds a day but only holds a fraction of that is essentially a just-in-time system, requiring you to monitor the bin constantly. The 88-pound bin on this Atosa means you have a buffer that covers a few hours of peak demand without needing to intervene, which translates into less staff time spent checking ice levels. If you compare it to a smaller unit that produces half the ice but also has half the bin, the operational overhead can be noticeably higher. Now, who should walk away from this product? If you run a home kitchen, a small office break room, or a boutique bakery that only needs a few pounds of ice per week, the YR280 AP161 is overkill. The upfront cost, space requirement, and ongoing maintenance will likely outweigh any convenience you gain. Similarly, if you're a food truck or a pop-up stall that can't guarantee a permanent water line, the installation constraints become a deal breaker. On the flip side, Any operation that regularly uses more than 100 pounds of ice a day, think coffee shops with a high volume of iced drinks, small catering services preparing chilled platters, or a neighborhood bar that features a frozen cocktail menu will find the capacity and bin size A.